Look out! Here come former SportsCenter anchor Bob Stevens, esteemed basketball coach Rich Basirico, and Hall of Fame sports writer Curry Kirkpatrick. And someone's going under the bus.
Hey, welcome everybody to Under the Bus. Justin Jarrett sitting in once again for Bob Stevens, who is still on assignment in Africa. We hope Bob's having fun and hasn't, run afoul of the law or afoul of any of the safari creatures or anything over there. But I'm having fun in his stead, hanging out with my friends Rich Basirico and Curry Kirkpatrick. If you're from the Hilton Head area, you know Rich well, legendary basketball coach at Hilton Head Prep for many years, a few decades, I would say. Rich, you're around there for a good minute, but enjoying your retirement. And Curry Kirkpatrick, Hall of Fame sports writer. Folks of a certain age certainly know Curry and remember him well from his heyday. I throw it out there every now and then. If I meet someone of a certain generation, I go, "Hey, you a sports fan? I got this friend you might know," and it always evokes something. But fellas, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the show, sponsored by Hudson's Seafood House on the Docks.
Thank you. Well, just a quick story about Curry. When we were in Atlanta for the regional finals, we were checking into the hotel, and Curry was working out our rooms, and Tom Crean walked by, who we both know, and so I knew Tommy back when he was 19 years old. He said to us at a Georgia Tech basketball camp that his goal in life was to be a major college basketball coach. And I reminded him of that story. But when I went to introduce him to Curry, he goes, "Oh, I know him. He's a legend." I don't know if you heard that, Curry, but he said he's a legend. So, and he is. And I'm far from being one, but Curry definitely is.
Yeah, he was the coach at Indiana when I knew him before, when he was an assistant at Michigan State.
Yeah.
He was with Izzo for a long time. Then he left, went to Marquette, right? Yeah. And Indiana and Georgia. And coached the
He's a good coach. He's a very good coach.
He coached Dwayne Wade at Marquette, right?
He sure did.
Yeah. So that was the one NCAA tournament that I got to cover as a journalist, working for the Columbia Missourian back in J School at Mizzou. We got to go to Indianapolis, and that Ricky Paulding, Arthur Johnson led team, coached by Quinn Snyder, your favorite guy, Curry. It was the Ricky Clemens year. Yeah. Ricky Clemens season, which you will recall is, of course, such a mess, such a soap opera season. But then they got on fire at the end, and they made a run, and they bowed out to Dwayne Wade's Marquette team in the second round in Indy. So that was a great experience. And we will talk plenty of March Madness tonight. And Curry, you were posing a question about whether this is maybe the best all-around Final Four when you think about the 3 games in total, as far as competitiveness, excitement, things you haven't seen before. It feels like, and certainly we suffer from recency bias. We forget more than we know at this point, but it doesn't feel like there have been many where all 3 games were as good as these 3 were and had just such unexpected finishes.
Yeah. Well, Rich and I, as Rich pointed out, we were in Atlanta for the Elite Eight. We didn't get to go to the Final Four this year, but Rich has been to several, and I've been to a huge amount of Final Fours. And I was trying to remember, I'm talking about all 3 games now. We've always had a really great semifinal, really great final, but it's that third game that, and these folks, these 4 number ones just put on a show. I mean, all 3 games were so tense and exciting, and down to the last minutes. Obviously, the 2 of them down to the last seconds. And I was trying to think. Way back in 1957, North Carolina won their semifinal against Michigan State in 3 overtimes. Then they won the final against Kansas in 3 overtimes. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I looked it up. But the third game, the other semifinal. Kansas beat San Francisco by like 25. Russell was gone from San Francisco, and Wilt Chamberlain was coming in to Kansas, and so that was a rout. But that we've had a lot of them had 2 great games. Rich, do you remember any of them 3 like this? All 3 games?
No. Well, think about this. I mean, Houston came from behind against Duke, right? Yep. Which was, hey, I have to admit, I went to bed with little over
This is
10 minutes left in the second half. They were down 12. I'm
disgraceful.
thinking,
This
I know
disgraceful.
I totally agree. It's disgraceful. Totally agree. But Duke, I thought, was totally in control of the game. I was tired. I'm thinking, there's no way. And I'm pulling for Houston. They're my team in the
Yeah, yeah.
bracket. I'm pulling for them. I'm
I
thinking,
don't
they
need to
don't have a
stay up and
chance.
watch this crap.
And in the middle of the night, as always, as we get older, we have to go to the men's room there. And I checked my phone. I looked at my phone for 30 seconds saying, this can't be. This cannot be that Houston won that game.
Yeah.
So then coming back, and of course, Florida coming back against Texas Tech, right? They were down 9 with what,
Yeah,
2 minutes
they
and
were
some
down for the
seconds to go.
count.
Well,
I
that
mean,
was in the 8. That was the week 4.
right. But the game, I mean, all
But
these games, as you mentioned,
Florida
were
was
just
down
terrific.
9. Florida was down 9 against Auburn in the semifinal.
Right,
Florida was down
correct.
9. Came
Correct.
back. Yeah.
Right.
And then of course they were down 12
12.
in the championship game. That's never been done before. Those 3 games that they came from behind.
Well,
But you mentioned, Rich, you during the Auburn Florida game, we were texting a little bit, and Broom was kind of terrific in the first half. He had like
yeah,
12 points against Florida's big men, but then in the second half, you pointed out that he was posting up. Wasn't even posting up. He was going
right.
outside rather than
Correct.
staying down on the
Right.
base.
Right.
And I think he was just tired. I mean, the
Well, I do
Florida,
too. I do think he was tired, Curry. But they talked about Todd Golden making these adjustments. I was floored that in the first half against the Auburn game, and they scored 26 points, Auburn, in the paint, and Florida never double teamed, and they were scoring all these points in the paint, and then in the second half, I mean, they shooting the 3. I'm thinking, why are they? Well, even in the first half, they were shooting the 3. Why are you shooting the 3 when you can get the ball on the block and score? And he had against Broome, there was no double teams. And then the analysts said, what a big defense adjustment. He didn't really make a big adjustment in the second half. Auburn, Bruce Pearl let his guys continue to shoot the 3, and Broome went outside. He was at the top of the key at the wing. I mean, yeah, he was on the
well, but
post sometimes too.
they were getting in front of him though. They weren't letting him get the ball like they were in the
No,
first
they
half.
did. I mean, they did a better job, but it wasn't because they were
Yeah.
doubling up on him. It was because they were wrapping around him and doing a better job that way. But I thought Auburn went away from what their strength of that game or what they did well in the first half. They went away from it. And Houston was the same way. Houston was scoring in the first half in the paint. And their 3-point shooting, they were, I think, 2 for 12 in the first half. Now, people say, well, that's their game. They like to shoot the 3. But if you're not shooting it well,
Right.
then you got to do something else. And they were scoring in the paint. I'm not going to say at ease, but they were scoring. The thing about Houston was Florida turned the ball over 7 times, and Houston was only up 4 points. They had a
Yeah.
chance to make a run on them in the first half, which they did in the second half. Early in the second half, they came out and I think outscored them 10-2 or 12-2, and went up by 12 in the second half. But Florida's been there before, so they kind of like, hey, this doesn't matter to us. We've
Yeah.
been here. We've done
Well,
this
and
against
Clayton
Auburn.
and Clayton started to get loose, and then he took over the game like he's done all tournament.
Oh,
I mean, he's just terrific. He's just been
he's
terrific.
so good.
He's a great
Yeah.
player. He's a terrific player. But Richards, who I think the game before had 7 points, he ended up with 18. So he kind of took
Yeah.
over. And when
In
Clayton
the
wasn't
first
getting
half.
his shot,
First half.
I just thought Houston, shooting the 3 even though they've had a lot of success doing it, that's how
Right.
they beat Duke. I get it. But tonight, or that night, Monday night, they just did not shoot the ball. I think they were 24% from the floor from the 3-point line. They
Well-
shot 35% for the whole game, in 2-pointers and 3-pointers, and 64% from the foul line. And they only lost
Yeah.
by 2. When you look at those stats,
Yep.
24, 35, and 64 from the free throw line, you're thinking, well, they must have got hammered. But they lost by 2. I think there was a couple. I'm going to bring something up that I think was a mistake and I think Kelvin Sampson's a terrific coach. I think he's outstanding. But when their score was tied with about a minute and I don't know how many seconds, but Houston got fouled, and he had a 1-and-1 score tied. He made his first,
Yeah.
and Kelvin didn't have anybody on the foul line.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a huge mistake.
I
That's
didn't
huge.
understand that the whole game, the whole
I
second
don't
half.
understand it either. I mean, I
Yeah,
know,
Rich and I saw
sometimes
that some when we called Peach Belt games together this year. We'd
I
see
don't.
that sometimes,
That's
and it would
crazy. I don't.
drive Coach crazy,
I
man.
think
It
it's a
just drove him crazy.
mistake. I mean, first of
Yeah,
all, your foul
it
shooter
makes
is
no
not is a little
sense.
bit uncomfortable because he's used to guys being on the lane there.
Hmm.
But then think about this: the second shot he missed, and it was a long rebound.
Yeah.
A
Yep.
long rebound.
Yep.
They had every chance to get that rebound if they had somebody on the
Those
lane.
are the ones you
And went
get.
to
Yep.
Florida. And
No,
Rich, not to mention,
And they're a
Houston has
great
such
rebounding
great
team.
offense.
right,
Houston has such great offensive rebounders.
correct.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
their,
I think
that's
that
their
was a
bread and
huge
butter.
mistake. I really
yeah,
think that was a
yeah,
huge mistake. I know he's going
Yep.
to say, "Well, I'm afraid my players might foul, reach over." Cooper did that in the Duke game, which they called a foul, which I
Yeah.
don't think was a foul. But
Yeah.
you got to trust your players. If you got to take major college basketball players off the lane because you're worried they're going to foul, a
Right.
mistake. That I'm telling you, that rebound would have
That's just
come.
good situational basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to keep two guys, at least two guys there, at least.
Rich, let
I
me ask you this, on
okay.
the final play of the championship game.
Yes, sir.
Um, we were all talking about why is it going to Sharp? He's
Yeah.
Right.
he's what, one
One
for
for
7 or
seven
something.
for
But
the 3 point. Yeah.
all his 3-point shooters were shooting badly. I
Right.
mean,
Correct.
even Cryer was something like 4 for 11. But do you think that was a breakdown in the play? What do you think
It
Sampson's
sure
play
looked like
was?
it.
Because I
Well,
thought what he,
that's a great
Looked like a
question.
lot of guys in one spot for a
Right.
while
yeah,
there.
The
yeah,
spacing was not very good. Number
Yeah, it
one.
was horrible.
terrible.
Number two, they had 19 seconds, and
Right.
they took when they called the timeout. I think
Yeah,
19.2,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
19.6
Why do
yeah.
you
or
have it on
something.
the
Yeah.
bait? Why don't you get to the half court line and then call the timeout? Now I know coaches will say, well, then you only have a half a court to get the ball in bounds, but they didn't rush the ball up the court. I mean, they kind of somewhat took their time to get into
Yeah.
their offense. I think it was went down to about 14 seconds when they started to get into their offense. You got to shoot when you're down.
Yeah.
You got to shoot the ball quick enough. I say between 8 and 5 seconds where you got to shoot it, because
Yes.
if you miss it, you have a
To
chance to get
get
the
the
offensive
rebound, then you
rebound.
got
Right.
a
And
chance
if
for
you
a
don't get
rebound,
the
right?
offensive rebound, then you foul.
Right.
And
You still
hopefully,
may be able to milk one more possession out of
that's
it.
right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
I thought also that instead of setting up for it looked like they were setting up for a 3-point shot
Yeah,
the
it
whole
did.
time.
It
They were going to
did.
Yeah.
get, if Cryer got loose,
They were
he was
5
going to
out.
get it. But they blitzed Cryer, they blitzed
Right.
Uzdang, and then the ball went to Sharp. But Rich, I thought he should have given it to Roberts and get it up
Yes.
quickly and let Roberts go down in
Right.
the lane and do his
Yeah.
little baby hook, which he's been
Yeah.
doing all his
Very
life.
good.
And
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and he might miss, but then he's got these great offensive rebounds.
Right.
They
Yeah.
all go to the glass, and they've got a lot of time. They might
Yeah.
have 10 seconds or 11
That's
seconds
that's
left.
right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
Well,
that's the play he should have
I
made.
think taking it inside, because one of the things that Florida doesn't want to do is we don't want to foul. We don't
Yeah,
want to put them at the foul line.
Right.
So the problem is sometimes late in the games,
Right.
officials don't call those because they always say we don't want to make the final outcome of the game on our call. But
Right.
on that last play, Curry, if you ever go back and look at it, Sharp was on the block. Cryer and those guys were out in the perimeter. They set a staggered screen for him.
yep.
And when
And
he
he
came
came
off the
around.
staggered screen, the guy setting the screen didn't set the screen. Um, he set it on his man, the guy he was defending, instead of setting it on Sharp's man.
Yeah,
Look at that.
and
Look at that. He screens the big man on Florida and didn't set the screen on Sharp's man. And that's why, and then they did a great job of closing out. You guys
and then
mentioned it
Clayton
in
and then
tips.
Clayton's
Clayton does the
closeout was
closeout
Right,
of
crazy.
all
right.
time,
Well, the
which
screen should have
saves the
been on
championship.
Clayton.
Yeah,
The screen should have
exactly.
been on Clayton, and it
Right.
wasn't. It was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Yeah.
their big man.
Yeah. And Sharp
So,
saw that hand hovering over the
right.
ball and panicked,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
and I
nobody seemed to know what was going on. Like he can't catch it. He can't
Right.
catch it.
Can't pick
yeah,
it up. Right. That's right.
yeah. Poor Sharp had no idea, but I've got to give credit to Florida because whatever Houston was going to do there at the end, it looked like Florida was just going to create chaos and
Yeah.
confusion. Their big guys
Yeah.
were everywhere. They were going to blitz
Yeah.
everything, and
Well, they did a
They were
great
locked in.
job defensively. But as you guys know, the last three possessions by Houston, No
No
shots.
No
shots.
shot.
No shots.
No
Yeah.
shots. 3 possessions.
And Sharp,
Yep.
Turnover.
Sharp made the second to last one, driving down the lane,
Dribbled that off
and
his
I
leg.
think it was who was it slapped the ball against his knee and it went out.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
No shots there. The possession before, that's when Cryer dribbled into Florida's
That's right.
guy's
Yeah, where
chest.
was he
And there's
going? Where was he going with that?
I
I mean,
no
they
idea.
had a
No
they had
idea.
a 1-point lead with the ball. 1-point
Yeah.
lead with the ball.
Yeah.
And he didn't really even run any time off the clock. I mean, he just went to the basket. Like, where you going?
Just went
Well,
fullback.
they kind of collapsed. Somebody had a great line, wrote that after this great tournament, after these great 3 games, and after this great championship game, the final play was kind of like the finale of The Sopranos. It just the game
Fade to
just
black.
died. It just died, and it wasn't very
Fade into black.
satisfactory. Which you
No.
could take, it wasn't a great finish, but
No.
it just ended like on a flat tire.
Right.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
I
It
want to
was.
at least
it
see
was
them get a
anticlimactic.
shot. At least get a shot. If you miss it,
Yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
at least get a shot off.
And
Yeah.
Samson's expression on the sideline
Oh,
was just killer. I mean, he
couldn't
just looked.
believe it.
He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe what
Yeah.
happened.
He envisioned a
These are-
bunch of different ways that last possession went, and none of them went like that. I
Yeah,
mean, he
yeah.
couldn't have imagined that.
Well,
Keeping it on college basketball. Oh, go ahead.
Before we get away from it, I want to go back to my favorite game of the 3,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. we do have
Houston
to
Duke game.
revisit that one.
The Houston Duke game, which talk about a collapse, talk about a choke.
right.
I mean, they scored one basket. Duke scored one basket in the last 10 minutes of the game.
That's hard to believe. That's hard to believe.
They were up 14 with 10 minutes to go, right? They were up 9 with 3 minutes to go. They were up 6 with 35 seconds to go.
32
And
seconds.
they ended up losing. But I want to point out something that I can't believe nobody pointed. Everybody said that Duke's only weakness was that they were young. They were, their youth, and they hadn't been tested. They won all their games by 25 or something. They
Right.
hadn't been challenged
ACC
in the
was
last
sorry,
in the
all
last
that.
month. But Sampson and Houston probably remembered a game 3 weeks earlier. If I can remind everybody, Duke against North Carolina in the semifinals of the ACC. Carolina was down 21 at the half, and
Yep.
Duke proceeded to collapse in the last 10 minutes of the game. We kept coming. We were down 1 with 4 seconds to go with our guy Lubin on the free throw line. Down 1 with 4 seconds to go. If he makes 2 free throws, the game's basically over. So
Right.
Duke was a total collapse in that game.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing in the championship in the semifinals
Semifinals,
again. And they
Yeah.
have all these NBA players. The 7-footer Malawak, Duke's freshman center, that's going
Yes.
to be a lottery. You know how many rebounds he had in the game?
No.
0.
Really?
0. He's 7 feet tall. He had 0
Wow.
rebounds. And
Wow.
where was Nipples? Where was Nipples? He has a great first half. He totally disappeared in the second half. I think you guys, he only took 1 shot. He was nowhere to be found. And I gotta, let's talk about Shire. Duke couldn't
Let him
get the
cook.
ball in
Let him
bounds.
cook.
Remember, they couldn't get the ball in
Yeah,
bounds for about
yeah.
2 minutes. Where was
Yeah.
Shire's inbounds play?
I
And
don't
where
know.
was the great Cooper Flag on those plays? Shire didn't have him involved at all in the inbounds play. Either have him as the thrower or the catcher. He's the greatest player of all time. Get him in. He was not involved in those inbound. When Duke is collapsing, Shire's out there waving his arms or something. I don't know. I
Well,
thought it
he
was.
took ownership
I thought it
after
was
the game. He took ownership that he did a poor job of down the stretch there like that. But Curry, you're so right. Major college basketball teams, the amount of time that they practice, think how much time they have to practice.
Yeah.
And you tell me in your press offense, let's just turn 1 second, just talking about the press offense. Florida with Todd Golden, obviously national champions, unbelievable. They have the best player on the floor, the best player, Clayton, in the tournament, and he's taking the ball out of bounds. What is he, 6'3", maybe? Why is he taking the ball
when
out of
he
bounds?
was throwing it in, I didn't
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that
I
either.
don't
Why don't they have one of their big
That
guys
doesn't
throw
make
it in?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want the ball in his
You want
hands,
him on the
best
other
foul
end
shooter.
of
Now,
the inbound pass.
If you ask Gold, he'll probably say, well, they can't defend him out of bounds. We want him to throw in bounds and step in bounds and get the
And then
ball
come and
back.
get it,
What
yeah.
happens if he doesn't get the ball back? Have your
Right.
best player work to get open, set a screen for him, or let him be the screener and then turn
Right.
back to the ball. A lot of times the screener is the guy that's going to be open. The guy coming
Yeah.
off the screen, they switch and he turns back. I thought that was
Right.
not a good. And then against Texas Tech, he's trying to get the ball in bounds late in the game, and he has his two guards. Clayton's taking out two guards, work to get open on their own. No screen, zero screens. Just trying to work to get open. They couldn't get open. Had to call a timeout. I don't get that. I think in major college basketball,
Rich is killing the championship coach.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am.
Just
I am
murdering
killing him.
the
Some
championship
of the
coach.
things
Nope.
that he did, and my last thing we're going to kill him with, and you guys are going to laugh, is his whole team is wearing their hats correctly after the game, and he's got his hat on backwards. Now, he's got his hat. It drove me nuts. I
He
couldn't
also,
handle it. I
that's
couldn't
his
handle
youth.
it.
That's his youth, Rich. Rich,
I
you're showing your
understand
age. You're
that,
really showing
but
your age here. Come
but
on, the
his,
guy's a kid. He's basically a kid.
I know he's 39, but his players
He's
are
trying.
20, and they got their
He's
hats on
trying to.
right.
He's trying to
Clayton
be a
had his
kid.
hat back on the side. Clayton had it on sideways.
Well,
Every other player had
maybe
it on
the
the right
lights were
way,
bright on that side.
just
He
like
was just
that.
trying to
But
block
he's
it.
the only
He
guy.
also used the word. He also used the word natty, which nobody knew what he's
They
talking
won
about.
the
But
natty. They won
that's
the
the
natty.
yeah, that's the term. That's the term.
Yeah, it's the natty.
But let's go back. Let's go
Back in my
back to
day, natty
Saturday.
was something else. Well, I was going to say, Rich, it's probably best you weren't watching that Duke Houston game, rooting for Houston when Duke missed the front end of a 1-and-1, because you might have just had an embolism and just been gone.
By whom? By Proctor, an 80% free throw
Right.
shooter. He
Yeah.
missed a 1-and-1. You know when he did that before? 3 weeks ago against North Carolina. He missed a 1-and-1. We got the
Wow.
ball and got the chance to go down and win the game. Now,
Right.
Right.
okay, they still,
Houston's just better than North Carolina. I mean, that's all
with
there is
all
to
this
it.
stuff, even you think it was a bad call on flag, the over the back on the free throw. Okay, but I don't know. Roberts goes down. He's a 60% free throw shooter, makes the 1-and-1 to
Right.
basically win the game. But still, Cooper Flag, the best
Had a
player in
chance.
America, he's got the
Had-
chance to be a hero. And I thought it's
Maybe
over.
that
He's going to make the shot, and Duke's going to
you got to
win.
hit it, Alice.
But he short-armed it against Roberts. Roberts did a great job, as he'd done all game, even though Flag had 27. But he short-armed that ball at the end.
Well, sure
Which
did.
he's done,
did.
he's been in several game-winning
Late games.
situations.
That's so
Remember,
true. Yep. Late
he
games.
slipped against Clemson. He
Mhm.
slipped against Kansas.
Yep.
The kid's a great player. I got to give it to him.
Great player.
But
He's
I
still
do
gonna be
want
number
to.
one, right?
What's that?
Does he still go number one?
Yeah,
Yes.
but meanwhile, I'm going to throw his mom, under the bus again. I mean, I am sick and tired of her. I'm so glad he's going to the pros because, there was she made a lot of publicity before the Final Four that she was going to get a tattoo
Yeah, that's
for Duke's championship, and she couldn't figure a place to put it. That was all the big publicity. She couldn't figure a place to put it. So I got
Oops.
several texts from friends after Duke lost. We know where she can put her tattoo now. But did you see this just the other day? She sure enough got a deal, a publicity deal, promotional deal with Dr. Scholl's Dr. Scholl's insoles for shoes. She's got a deal, a commercial.
NIL.
Oh my God.
Wow.
NIL.
Yeah.
Here
So
you go.
congratulations to the Flag family. At least one of them, got the deal.
Curry, we have a question from a listener, loyal listener, Kevin Libby. Worst NCAA mom ever? And he questions whether JJ Redick's was the worst.
No, this is the worst. She's the worst. This is the
She's
worst.
the worst?
Yeah,
She takes
she's the worst.
cake?
Did you see my cartoon I sent around of her in a
Yeah.
Duke
Oh yeah.
t-shirt?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you had a lot of
I wanna
fun
bring-
with
I
this.
wanna
And
bring up
you
one
were
thing.
so complimentary of Duke last week. You had me almost convinced that you were ready to pull for them to win it all. And
No,
now
no.
you're emptying the clip on them. How about some coaching movement? Buzz Williams going from Texas A&M to Maryland was interesting to me and could be a good fit. I mean, I don't know. Maryland did pretty well considering the way the last guy left guns blazing to get Buzz, I think. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? And
No,
any
Buzz
other?
Buzz kind of jumps around a little bit, doesn't it?
He does.
He was at Marquette, Virginia Tech. Now
He's
at
at every.
Texas
He wants
A&M.
he wants to coach in every conference. I think he wants to coach every conference before he's finished.
Well, if you
Because
stay in one place long enough,
he
you'll do
stays
that
about
these
5
days.
years. He stays about 5 years, and then that's it. He
That's
gets
true.
the
That
job.
is
Yeah,
true.
he seems to have a shelf life. He doesn't like to be overshadowed by football, it doesn't seem like. So maybe he'll be
Well,
okay there at Maryland because football
maybe.
hasn't
But
really been cooking.
Right. But
he
how about
also
the coach
he
that
also
went to
wears
Texas?
those sleeveless vests underneath his jackets. He's always got that sleeveless vest on. He's got to change that, I think.
His fashion is not great. Not great. Yeah.
Well,
But how about the
moving
guy that took the job at Texas A&M? He came from Sanford, Southern Conference School, and before he went to Sanford, he was a high school coach in Alabama. He went from a high
well
school basketball coach in Alabama to Sanford. Was at Sanford, I think, 6 years, and then got the job at Texas
to
A&M.
Texas A&M. Yeah. Well,
It's a pretty big. That's a
I
pretty
think
big
the
jump.
name I think the name guys were all finished by the time Buzz Williams left Texas A&M,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't
probably
know.
so. We'll see how he does.
Of course, this guy could have been the coach of the Denver Nuggets if he waited another week. You want to talk about that? I mean,
That's bizarre. That's bizarre. Firing him. What less
Yeah.
than 2 years ago, they won an NBA championship. 2
three
years ago.
games to go. 3 games to go in the regular season.
Yeah.
And I guess
I
word came out that Mike Malone, the guy we're talking about, got fired, and his GM,
Yeah.
who nobody cares about, but apparently they've been fighting
Right.
for all year
it's a
and
power trip.
didn't like each other, and apparently it came down to the GM wanted to play the younger guys, and Malone wanted to go with Westbrook and some of the older guys. And I don't know, but with 3 games to go, for a guy that's been there
Yeah.
10 years, got you to a championship. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Won a
insulting.
championship.
First of all, it's a bad look for the NBA. It's insulting to
Very bad.
coaches. It's insulting to general managers. It's just awful. But, if you think about it, there have been several coaches in the last few years. I had a list of them, if I can find them, that have won the championship and they're gone in the next 2 years.
Right.
Vogel with the Lakers, Budenholzer,
Yeah.
going back, Ty Lue at Toronto.
Right.
2 years later, they're gone. Then this guy wins a championship, Mike Malone, and he's gone in 2 years. It's like, I don't know what the deal
It
is.
doesn't make sense. I mean, him not getting along with the GM, okay, is one thing. Maybe you get rid of the GM. But I don't see how you get rid of both of them. Right I mean, they're in fourth place. It's not like they're not going to make the playoffs. They're making the playoffs, and they're they had probably they have the best player in the NBA. How do you making a change like this late in the season? I don't know if it ever works. I really don't.
So
Time will
I'm
tell. We'll
reading.
see.
So they fired the general manager as well.
Correct.
So I mean, I'm guessing it just had become toxic that they
Probably.
couldn't get along type
Well,
deal.
it's the Kroenke family who own the
Right.
Rams, and they own
So I mentioned that Mizzou team
they've
I
been very
covered. Josh Kroenke was on that team. He is now the Nuggets president and governor.
well. He's the
So
guy that made the
very
move.
interesting.
His
Yeah.
dad is the big guy, the honcho,
Yeah.
but
Stan.
he makes all the
Stan.
moves. Where did you say he played?
Mizzou. He was on
Oh,
that
that's
Mizzou
right.
team that I covered.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of Walton money in Columbia, Missouri. The you may also recall at Mizzou we had the Laurie Arena for a moment, and then the young lady for whom it was named, or the Page Arena. I'm sorry, Page Arena. And the lady for whom it was named got into a cheating scandal out at USC in California, and was on TV on one of the nightly news, one of the investigative news shows. And so now it's Mizzou Arena. We revoked those naming rights. That would be Sam Walton money from
Well,
Arkansas.
Kroenke, after the fact, did say that he was going
He's
to
also the
fire
guy who
Malone.
moved the Rams to Los Angeles, by the way.
Yeah,
Son of a bitch.
but he said he was going to fire Malone and the GM after the season. Everybody knew that,
Right.
and he was going to do that. So he figured, they have a discussion. He said, "Why don't we do it now and get a head start on it?" But so so they've punted on the season.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No doubt.
But apparently Jokic did okay it. I mean, they asked him about it. I guess. He
Wow.
might have been able to.
Okay.
He might have been able to save Malone, but he didn't make the effort to do that, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
you know, the NBA is getting like hockey where they fire coaches during games. I mean, you know, it's ridiculous. It's a bad look. I don't like it at all.
I don't
Rich,
either.
being a coach, don't you think it's an insult to the profession?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah,
Uh,
without a
uh,
doubt. I mean, wait for the end. I mean, you have in the playoffs. It's a whole new season, right? Throw records out the window. They're the
yeah,
fourth place team.
yeah, for sure.
They have veterans on their team. You
Yeah.
know, Oklahoma
And they
City
have
and
they
Houston
have the
are
best
very
player
good, but
in
they're
they have the
young.
best
They're
player in the
young.
game. They have
Correct.
the best.
So
Yeah,
Denver's got a
It makes
shot.
no
I mean,
sense.
but
yeah.
replacing your coach,
Not
I don't think ever
not now.
works. You know,
Yeah, not
during the
now.
season. So
Rich, how
how
about
about talking
Rich?
about the NBA? How about the Lakers with Dallas tonight? Did you see? Doncic plays. Was back in Dallas. You know how many points he had at halftime?
31. I was watching the whole thing. He put a
31
31 on him
at
at
half.
halftime. Yeah,
31 and a
yeah,
half.
yeah. And the Dallas fans
Woo.
are cheering for him.
Yeah.
Speaking of other teams, Rich, I want to bring up here's a future move for you. How about next year, Mike Malone will be coaching the New York Knicks.
Yeah. I
How's
would
that
not
for
be
good?
surprised.
I'm
No,
telling you. How
I,
about the
I,
That would be a
latest
nice
tip? How
pickup.
about the latest tidbit from your boy Tibbs? The latest tidbit from him.
He's a
Knicks
psycho.
go up 3 against the Celtics the other
he
night,
doesn't foul.
and they don't foul. They don't foul. What's his name? The
Tatum,
all star.
Tatum.
Wild
Tatum.
card.
Don't you have? I mean, isn't that like a
At
rule?
that level, when they could shoot the three from any place on the
These
floor,
days, yes.
you have to
I mean,
do that.
I mean,
Absolutely.
isn't it
I
a
totally
rule? As
agree.
soon as he came across midcourt, you just hit
Yeah.
him because he made
Well,
the shot from about 10 feet in from
yeah.
midcourt.
How many
But
seconds were left when he took that shot? Do you remember?
3 or 4, if
Well, then you got
maybe
to do it.
less,
You got to do it.
Yeah,
It gets
yeah.
below 5, you got to do it. Less
Well, it
five
blew the
seconds, you
game.
got to do
It's
it.
blew the game. That's all because the
He has
Celtics
done a
took over
poor
in overtime.
job. I think the Knicks have a lot of talent, and I like Tibbs as a coach, but I think he's done a poor job. He goes with 7 guys in the NBA. You can't win. You got to have a rotation of at least 9. I mean,
How
if you're
many
playing high
games?
school basketball, you get away with 7 maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
7 in the NBA with all the games they play. And he's so stubborn about playing his young players. And then when the young players do well, and a veteran comes back off an injury, then the guy never plays again. He doesn't play him. I'll have
They
17.
put a stat up. They put a stat up the other night that Tibbs and the Knicks against the teams that are ahead of them,
Yeah,
Cleveland,
they haven't won.
Lakers. He's
Celtics.
0 for. He's 0 for
Right, right,
17 or something
right.
against the 5 teams that are
Yep,
better than them.
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
They
I
have
mean,
no
come
chance. I mean,
on.
the playoffs, they might win the first round in the playoffs,
Yeah,
but after that, they're done. He's got
yeah.
to change his philosophy. I just don't see. I mean, he's got some really good offensive talent, and he's known for his defense. But they just, I mean, they win enough games. But like Curry says, the better teams they can't beat. They
They
can't
don't
win. They
ever
had to
beat
win
them.
one
Yeah,
time against those teams, not
yeah.
once. That's embarrassing. So I
Justin,
wouldn't
we're
be
not doing it. We're
surprised if
not.
that happened, Curry. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired him
Yeah,
and brought it.
I
Yeah,
mean, Malone's an East Coast guy.
yeah. I bet you he'd be a good fit for
I
them.
can see that as a scenario, man. I
Yeah.
really can.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense. He's
If they
gonna
get rid of
somebody's
Tibbs,
gonna hire him. I mean,
Oh,
he's won a
without a doubt.
championship,
Oh, without a doubt.
and
Yeah. He'll get a job
quality
next year.
coach.
Yeah, he would.
And got
I knew his dad. I knew his dad really well. His dad was an NBA lifer, assistant coach and
right.
stuff. And
One of them's
yeah,
a Syracuse guy, right?
they maybe they both are. I
Yeah,
remember his
I
dad.
know that our guy Tony Bruin has connections to
Oh
them.
yeah, his dad worked at 5-Star Camp, Rich. I think that's where I met. He was a big
Oh, is that
Garfinkel
right?
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
that's where
Larry Brown
Tony
guy and all those guys.
connects to him.
Hey, are we not stopping tonight for breaks,
Yeah,
Justin?
I
Or what do you
guess
do?
not. I kind of forgot about it, and then we just kind of rolled into the NBA. So we don't have other advertisers. So we'll just take a moment to shout out our presenting sponsor, Hudson Seafood House on the Docks. My cat, who's begging for pets under the table, just fell off in a calamity. Hudson Seafood House on the Docks, great spot on Hilton Head Island, where you guys call home. I'm just over the bridge in Bluffton, but it's easy to get over to Hudson's. Great spot for seafood, cocktails, sunsets. Sunsets are unbelievable over
Yeah.
Skull Creek. Just a
Yeah.
beautiful spot. If you find yourself in Hilton Head, you got to get to Hudson's. It's a community treasure, and definitely one of the things you'll remember about your trip here. So we appreciate their support. We love the Carmine's family over at Hudson's
And
Sure.
Steakhouse on the Dodge.
if you take some fries home, you can feed your cats. They're
Yeah,
looking
true.
for food there. Yeah.
Hush puppies for the dogs, right?
That's right.
Don't give their hush puppies to the dogs. Eat them things. They're
Eat
too
them. They're
good.
really good.
And
Really,
if
really
you get
good.
your po' boy, I'm told you get it Andrew's way if you want it the best way. So that's from
Andrew's.
Coach Mullis gave me that tip, Rich. And
Okay.
Coach
Andrew's
All
Mullis,
way.
right.
he tells you something about food. He's probably right.
Well,
What you want to talk some ball?
before we finish up, we're doing this on the eve of the Masters.
We
So
are.
I wish Bob Stevens was here because
I
he'd
do
have
too.
3 or 4 picks for us. He'd have some dark
Uh-huh.
horses. But Rich, who do you like?
Scotty.
Scheffler.
It's
Scheffler.
All right.
it's
Scotty
really
Scheffler.
hard
Yeah.
to go against him right now. He's such a machine.
He is
Yeah.
a machine. I mean, I think in the last tournament he came as runner up, right? He was second in Houston.
Right.
But
So he's playing
how
well.
do you go
Of course,
against him, really? How do you go against him?
Rory's had 2 big wins this
I
spring,
know. I
and he's
just,
never
Yeah,
won
but
it. And
yeah.
he says he's playing the best he's played
um,
Well, he's
in his
said
life.
that before,
So,
but there's something at Augusta that just haunts
yeah,
him, man. He
yeah.
starts
I'm rooting
blocking
for him.
it and he just can't do it.
I,
When he brings his A game, he's outstanding. But he can also be bad.
Now, I'll say this. I'll pick Scotty, but if you were doing Scotty versus the field, I'd probably go field just because the
Well, yeah.
quality of players in the world right now is unreal. The depth of incredible golfers out there right now who can win any given week is unbelievable, which I think makes it even more impressive what Scheffler's done the last couple of
yeah,
years.
yeah,
He is
for sure, yeah,
incredible. And we got to know him a little bit, as much as you can, Curry covering a guy over 4 days at an event, but you do get to see a lot of their personality. You're really watching them and you're seeing how they answer the questions and how they handle the fans and all those things. And to me, he seems like just kind of a simple guy, a no nonsense guy that he goes about his business. It just so happens his job is winning golf tournaments
yeah.
and he takes it
Well, he's
very seriously and he's really good at it. And I do know he's a hothead and his dad straight up told me like he's got to really keep the blinders on and
you know.
stay in the tunnel and not let anything outside impact him because if he goes to a bad place, his game goes to a bad
Well,
place.
it's
So
lucky he didn't go hothead when the police arrested him there last year.
I don't doubt that he
I don't
probably
think
did go a little hothead there.
I don't.
I think he probably
He
did get a
doesn't
little
show
hot.
much. He doesn't show much of personality on
No,
the course,
no,
but
he doesn't.
that's probably
He's
how he
By
focused.
wins.
He's
design, it's
focused.
intentional. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
intentional because if
When
he
he walks
does,
down the
he'll
fairway,
get
when he
outside
walks down the
himself.
fairway, nobody can rattle him. His eyes
Oh,
are focused on where he,
yeah.
on the green, and fans are screaming and yelling at him. And he doesn't show it like Curry says. There shows no emotion whatsoever.
and that's
You
intentional
know
because
who?
he
Yeah.
used to have a hard time keeping it between the lines, and he's
You
been very
know,
intentional about improving on
a
that.
lot of people are picking Morikawa as well, as up with
Mhm.
Scheffler
Great
and
pick,
and
tremendous ball
McIlroy.
striker.
I'll give you 2 other names. Oberg,
Okay.
the Swede, the tall Swede
Yes,
that finished, the really young guy that finished second last year.
really
I
good.
really like him. And my boy, Will Zalatoris from Wake Forest. I love
Okay.
Zalatoris. He's due.
All
I'll,
right.
I'll
Well,
throw one wild card in there for you. Our boy from Savannah,
Oh,
the cantankerous lefty,
yeah.
Brian Harmon. Brian Harmon. He's down in Sea Island now, but he's a Savannah boy. I still one of my best and first memories covering sports for the Island Packet here. First week I'm here, I get sent out to Belfair for the Players Amateur, which is a great amateur event we had here. And Brian Harmon was the number one junior in the world moving into the amateur ranks, beating everybody. He was signed to Georgia, but wasn't there yet. This young gunslinger talking about wrestling alligators and stuff, getting up on the tables in the clubhouse, drinking when he wasn't old enough to do it, about getting kicked out because he's, I heard stories about skinny dipping with homeowners, daughters and stuff like that while they were staying in Belfair. Crazy things happened around that tournament, but that's my first memory of Brian
Barred
Harmon.
from, when
So
he barred from a couple
to
places.
watch Brian like grow up and mature and go through this period where he really struggled with his golf because he couldn't get his life straight, and then see him get it together and settle down and find his game. has been really cool to watch him come full circle from like that young brash kid who had it all to kind of hitting rock bottom, so to speak, and then fighting his way to the top. So I always root for that guy.
All right, I'll root for him now too.
He's a little
He's
sawed
doing-
off jerk at times, but he's got a chip on his shoulder and he wears it well and uses it to his advantage.
You should have seen him on the par 3 today. He was there with his family, of course, and his wife and kids. And you see a whole different side of these guys in this
Yeah.
par 3. You see
Yeah.
with all their
Love
kids and riding around and Kellen, what's the guy's name? Bradley, the captain of our Ryder Cup team next year. He
Keegan,
made
Keegan Bradley.
He
big
he
Red
made
Sox
hole in
guy.
one. He made hole in
Yeah.
one today. He made hole in one today, and his kids are jumping in the air. He's throwing them up in the air. It was great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah.
I
That's
love
a pretty
it.
good thing that what they do at Augusta with that par 3.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. And and my friend Kevin was making some veiled references about the history of the Masters. Is it named for the antebellum economy? Is there an overseers tournament the next week? Fair criticism of the Masters, but it is a really beautiful spot, and it has a lot of history for the game. And so we could do a whole show on poking holes on golf and
Sure.
golf industry and all that stuff another time. But Masters should be great. We've thrown some names out there. If you use them in your DraftKings or your FanDuel, that's on you. We have Bob's
Yeah.
not here. We do not know what we're
Unless-
talking about.
Unless
when it comes to that.
Zalatoris wins, then bring it on. Give me some.
Or
Yeah,
Harmon.
yeah.
Or Harmon. We'll take credit if you win. We also wanted to talk a little baseball. We
Sure.
definitely have to talk a little baseball. We are getting into it. Rich, you ready to rant on those Yankees? The torpedo bats stopped working.
Well, when the Yankees had that one game where they scored 20 runs,
Right, used them all
but,
up.
but only two of the players were using that bat. So I mean they took a little hit on that because they thought it was just a bat. Of course, those guys, Chisholm, who's supposedly
Pretty
used
good
the bat, hit his homer. He's not even hit. His batting average is not even 200 right now. So
Yeah.
I mean that you can throw. I mean I'm sure those bats are good, and I'm sure the
I
players
think
like
the
it.
league average is about 230.
I know it's great. Well, the Yankees this year, it's their pitching. I mean, I don't understand how many players every year, especially this year, get hurt. I mean, especially the pitchers. They have 6 guys from the bullpen are on the DL right now. 6. They have 3. Let's see. Cole, and that's this bullpen.
Right.
Then in the starting rotation, Cole's out for the year. Gill, rookie of the year last year, is hurt.
Yeah.
He's out for 3 months, and Schmidt hasn't pitched yet.
Mm.
What are they doing with them in terms of having so many injuries? I mean, to have one guy hurt, 2 guys hurt, 3 guys, that's 9 pitchers, 9 that are
Right.
hurt. We're not even talking about the minor leaguers. Something's not right there. I don't
Yeah.
have an answer for it. I don't know. What do I know about that? I just know that all these guys are hurt. I like what they did in the offseason. I think Curry, one of your guys, came our way. Goldschmidt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's
He's
hitting?
nice.
He's hitting extremely well. Of course, they got Delvin Williams from the Brewers. They traded for him, who's this great closer.
Mhm.
He's been awful. His ERA.
He's done nothing.
That's
He
'cause-
did nothing
He almost
today.
did today. He went in. They were up 4-0.
Yeah.
He gave up 3 runs and man on second. And for the first time, Boone took the closer out. Normally, Boone lets you, if you're my closer, you're going to go in, win or lose.
Going down with the ship.
You can walk 4 guys in a row. He's going to go with you. But today, after giving up 3 runs, another man got on second. He took him out, and Leiter came
Now
in.
he's gonna go to the IL.
Well,
to
who
figure
knows?
it
But
out.
hopefully he could turn it around because for what they traded some good players for him. He's
They
been
even
awful
let him
so
keep
far.
his beard, right?
Well, yeah, he's the one that went to ownership and said, like,
Yeah.
what's the deal here? So that's when they changed that rule.
Yeah, they changed the rule for him, and
yeah,
now he's
yeah.
giving up taters. That's
Yeah.
not good.
Well, speaking of closers, my Cardinals have basically closed the season down already. Our closer
They're
Helsley.
2.5 games back.
Well, but our closer Helsley, who's supposed to be the best closer in baseball, we go into Boston last week. But, what's the deal with these interleague series so early in the season? By the way,
Well, they have to
Yeah.
What
have
do we-
one all the time now, don't they? Because
They play
because
everybody.
we
They
got
play
uneven
everybody.
numbers. You got
Cardinals had
15
to
in
go-
each league, so there always has to be an interleague series at all times. It stinks.
Cardinals had to go in and play Red Sox. First game,
Yeah.
Red Sox scored 13 runs. Third game, Red Sox score 18 runs. The game in between, we go into the ninth leading 3-2 and bring in Helsley to close, and he gets destroyed, and we lose that game. So we lose all 3 games. I'm closing down the season. I think I'm
Already, you closed it down already.
it's been awful. It's awful. I mean, our pitching. Are you kidding me? 13 and 18 in 2 games.
How about the
played-
Yankees that inning when the game when they scored 20 runs and they hit 3 consecutive home runs off the first pitch.
Yeah.
They've played 12 games, Curry. They got 150 left, buddy. You might want to pump the brakes.
Yeah, that's true.
The division
That's
is not
true.
great. My Cubs, my beloved Cubs, who I have zero faith in this year, are leading the division at 9-6. So you're 2.5 games back. Keep your head up. Your Cardinals.
Didn't the
Cardinals are
Cubs
gonna
beat the
stay in it.
Dodgers 3 in a row or something? Cubs beat the
No.
Dodgers 3 in a row.
They beat the Padres 2 in a row and should have swept
Oh.
them, but they blew the
Oh,
last
good
one.
God.
All these teams are blowing games. What's going on?
Well, I think some of it is I'm not sure how much relief pitchers are pitchers anymore. They're just throwers, man.
Yeah.
They just tell them, grip it however you feel best and throw it as hard as you can down the middle of the plate, and it will move 6 inches one way or the other. And that's what they do. And they don't know where it's going. They're not spotting it. They're just throwing it. A lot of them. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them.
Closers have to throw strikes, Justin. I mean, closers have to throw strikes. And like William say, walk 2 guys. You can't come in as a closer
Can't
and
defend
walk 2
it.
guys. Come on.
You
That's
can't
ridiculous.
defend it.
Justin, tell Rich it's not even April 15 yet. I mean, we're talking about
Pace yourself.
He's
Pace
like,
yourself.
yeah.
Pace yourself. But it's true. Like you do got to throw strikes, man. It'll drive you crazy. You can't defend it. You can't defend it. I'm a baseball and softball coach. I'm a varsity high school softball coach now. I will qualify that because I coach for a Class 1A, the smallest classification in South Carolina, a rural school that has 0 softball tradition. The girls who have played before, there are a few. They played 4 games last season and they lost all of them. It was 2 doubleheaders. So our experience level is very low. You think the Yankees drive you crazy, brother? We played a little scrimmage against another team yesterday, where we modified the rules. You could only take 1 base on a hit, no matter what. But if you didn't run through first base, you were out. Because we're tired of seeing kids almost tear their ACL trying to stop on first base at full speed. It's dangerous. And if you didn't take your secondary lead when the pitch was thrown, you were called out. We're trying to train just small little habits. But we got to win tonight, 17-2 in 2 innings over our region rival,
2
Allendale
innings.
Fairfax.
Are you the hitting coach?
They shut it down. We drew a lot of walks tonight. We only had 2 hits. But we did have 30 stolen bases. We had 30 stolen bases.
30 stolen bases.
The umpires told us before the game, hey, we're not going to be here all night, y'all. If it gets to a 15-run spread, we're going home. And so we got there in the second inning.
Good job.
Who'd you play? What school?
We played at home against Allendale Fairfax.
Okay.
Yeah, but the word is you're already losing girls to the portal. They're leaving your team because of the coaching.
I lost one tonight. I lost one tonight. I'm not sure. I didn't get a great explanation, but she's done. She told me. She was batting 750. So what are you gonna do? I don't know. She's getting a lot of opportunity. I don't know.
Allendale
I did say in the post-game huddle, look, if anybody, I heard a couple people say they wanted to go home tonight. If anybody doesn't want to be here, that's okay. You don't have to.
So
you ever said that before, Coach?
Pick you up on it, Justin.
Yeah, I know. You ever said that in the post-game huddle, Coach? If anybody doesn't want to be here, you don't have to.
No, I think I said that before the game when we thought we were playing an opponent who was much stronger. Like, if you don't think we can beat this team, then stay in the locker room.
Just go on home. Just go on home. I need 5 who want to. So I need 9 who want to. You need 5 who want to.
Right.
And we'll go as far as we can go with that.
There you go.
But yeah. All right, boys. Anyone else to throw under the bus before we get called tonight? We've been quite
I don't
thorough.
think so. I did. I did the national championship coach. I threw him under the bus already.
Threw him, yeah.
with
Sure
his out
did.
of bounds plays and his wearing his hat backwards. And
You
I
did your
mean,
due diligence.
Boy, you're tough, Rich. You're
that
tough.
drove me
You're tough.
crazy. I mean, Curry,
Tough.
you mentioned him being so young, which is true. He's only 39, which is amazing, and he is a terrific coach. But come on, act somewhat. Be excited. I understand him being so excited. I can't imagine that feeling winning a national championship like that.
Oh yeah.
But come on, I mean, he's sitting there doing the Gator thing, and
Hey, hey, come on,
Is
come
that
on. The
on
guy just
backwards?
won the national championship.
I
Or as he
understand. I
calls it, the
get it.
chip. Or as
I
he
get
called
it.
the kids call it
The
the chip.
natty. The natty.
Or the
They want a
natty.
Natty.
chip.
Yeah.
They want
I'm
a chip.
surprised he did not
Maybe
just
that's
win the
why.
chip.
That's why the kids like to play for him.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
yeah.
Well, I got
So,
one to throw under the bus for you,
all right,
and you
let's
guys
do it.
can tear into them if you want. I just read a headline that, again, this is not from the last time. This is a new one. Police were called to the home of Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill and his wife for a domestic dispute
Oh,
Monday, although no
jeez.
charges were filed. This is a pattern of behavior, and I
Don't tell me
used
that
to.
I traded for him in my dynasty league. I traded for him. What's going on now? He's making these huge
I traded
mistakes.
for his wife. I traded for his wife in my league.
Well, she may be on waivers soon, so you may have a shot, Curry, depending on your waiver claim. But I mean, some of these guys, we just talked about high school kids. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to. Look,
Right.
if you can't, you ain't bigger than the program, man.
That's
If
right.
you can't get with the program, you can get gone.
Move
And as I
on.
told one kid the other day, if you can't exist and play by the rules in this big box we all live in, then you get to go live in a little box
Yeah.
and play by
By
the rules
yourself.
there.
By yourself.
And 23 hours a day. So, I hope that some of these guys start to be held accountable to the level that they really need to for them to take this seriously. You have
Yeah.
an incredible blessing that you get to play a game that you love for millions and
Millions of
millions and
dollars.
hundreds of millions of dollars. And you can't take it seriously enough to keep your hands off your wife. Like, come on, man. A lot's on the line. Let's
Yeah,
get
for
it
sure.
together. But it starts when they're young, and we got to instill that at the
Yeah.
lower levels. And coach, you certainly did that for a number of years, and I'm hoping that I can instill it in some young people so that
Well, you
they're
just
more
keep trying. You
responsible with
keep
their
trying because
opportunities.
teaching life lessons is the most important thing in coaching.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, a somber note to end the show, but great night, fellas. Always great to talk sports with you guys. As you can tell, I'm a little worn out and a little
That's
manic
all right.
after the big win tonight, but we got through it, and I'm hopping over to the Loco Sports Lowdown. So thanks to
Okay.
everyone who joined us tonight.
Thanks,
We look
guys.
forward to having Bob Stevens back this next week. He'll be back stateside, so I'll be back in the background. But thanks so much to Rich Basirico, Curry Kirkpatrick, the folks at Hudson Seafood House on the docks, and everybody who supports Under the Bus. Till next time, be well.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
Under the Bus is a production of the Loco Media Network and is filmed on the Hilton Head Island campus of the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. The executive producer is Justin Jarrett, with assistance from Trey Ramsey, Mahogany Hickman, and Adam Carroll.